I would like to thank each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication to our cause. In reviewing this year's progress, let me say that we have been highly effective in conditioning the people's minds to accept our solution to the world's problems. The energy crisis here in the United States was exceptionally successful worldwide, and we expect similar success with our upcoming food shortage.
With regard to food shortage, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real.
I went and lost 50 pounds. I'm trying to be a real movie star. I done went and lost all that weight. Y'all gonna make me a superhero.
I see you, Slim and Trim. He done lost so much weight. Motherfucker at Tycoon Weekend told him he's finer than them bitch.
Man, listen, that weekend, like, one thing about 50 gonna put on a real weekend and shit for sure. That Tycoon shit was lit.
It was lit.
It was lit. But somebody thought it was that type of time.
Who got drunk? You don't want to tell us who got drunk and told you was fine.
Man, I ain't gonna even put a nigga out there though. But he tried me that night. I don't know what I had to let him know like I'm in the industry, but I ain't in the industry.
No. How did somebody approach you? How did they approach you?
No,
you think it was for that? You think it was the connection to go to the next level?
Hell no, shit, not for me. Shit, we disconnected.
No, I'm just saying the way he tried to, that probably was an offer. That probably was that visit.
It probably was that visit, but shit, I'm finna leave this visit. Man, listen. To each his own. I ain't got nothing wrong with nobody that's on that side. Y'all can have y'all life. Y'all do what y'all do.
No, I'm talking about. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the special group.
How did they tell you what they
the
told
next
you?
level?
Man, we was talking about something, and then he was just like, "Man, you fine as fuck." I'm like, "Hold on, bro. How we get to this point? We were just talking about something totally different." And he was like, "Bro, you fine as fuck." Hold on, bro. Wait, hold on, bro. This ain't what we was talking about. I look over at my security like, bro, he trying it. He trying it in this motherfucker.
Damn, man.
Big bro on that tip. I ain't having it.
Hey, you know what's funny, man?
Each his own, man.
So here's a crazy New York private party story. I believe we were working with Nelly and Jaquan at the time. So it had to be at least 3 o'clock in the morning. And our manager's taking us through these alleys, and we go up some steps, and then we go down some steps, and then we take an elevator up, maybe 16 floors up, and we get out. And it's just like this dark room in a hallway. So we walk down the hallway. I look to the right, and there's this famous female artist, and she's there making out with another woman. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm new to this, so I wasn't used to all that. Just girls everywhere. And actually, we were in the room next to her. I think it was a little bit bigger than her room, and she wanted our room. So she actually tried to put us out. So she wasn't really nice, but we didn't leave, and she ended up staying in the small room. But so I'm sitting around drinking, just drinking. I probably had like 2 or 3 drinks, and somebody says, "Hey, let's go to the private VIP section." So I'm like, okay. So I walk in, and I'm standing at the door. And it's like a couch that's like it's like a circle, like a half circle. And they're passing a tray of cocaine around the room.
All right, peace, y'all. Peace. In this video, I was going to talk about this possibly maybe last year or so. But I figured this would be a good time to kind of like break it down, being that we're seeing so many artists sign these record deals and they end up dying. All right, so I'm going to basically explain to you guys the whole concept of record deals. All right, and I'm going to drop some jewels in there for you guys too, for those out there that still want to be a part of the business. Some things to look out for, you know what I'm saying, and how vindictive this music business really is. All right. So the first record deal was established in 1904. All right, with the Victor Talking Machine. Okay, also known as RCA Records today. All right, but this was created by Eldridge Johnson. Okay, Eldridge Johnson was actually the creator of the Victor talking machine. Okay, and he offered a opera singer $4,000 per song. Okay, that he created. All right, the opera singer at that time was Enrico Caruso. Okay, who was the first platinum selling artist with over 1 million copies. Okay, sold. All right, so the gramophone was created to broaden the horizons of music. All right, now Eldridge Johnson was not the creator of the gramophone. All right, but he patented the idea. Okay, and went on to make millions off of this idea here. Now they wanted to get more music to people. Okay, because operas were packed at the time and artists were overworked. Okay, as we see still today with these artists. All right, it's the same concept. Now, Eldridge and friends came up with the concept of the term slave and masters being used in music. All right, which is no longer a term in a recording contract since 2020. All right, but I'm going to read this article here. All right, so it says, for those not aware, the terms have been long used to distinguish between a source recording, the master, okay, and the subsequent copies made, the slaves, which has led to a persuasive use of both terms in many industry contracts. Although these charged words have been normalized to indicate a dominant subservient relationship, it does not negate the weight that they carry, especially in context of the music industry. All right, so this term slave and masters has been removed in 2020, okay, due to the fact that there was racial demographics from the beginning of contracts. All right, with Eldridge Johnson using these terms to reference it. Okay, so when you hear rappers talking about, oh, I want my masters back, all right, that's the actual song that they created. And the slave is basically what we call today just distribution. Okay, numerous copies going out. How many copies are printed out of that song? All right, so the U.S. Congress passed the Copyright Act in 1909, along with what was called a compulsory mechanical license. All right, meaning that Victor talking machine, right, would own a larger portion of your music, being that they are doing more work. All right, so this whole concept of the machine, all right, when you hear people speak of the machine, all right, that goes hand in hand with that, because the compulsory mechanical license allowed these creators of these products to own more of your work, all right, being that they were printing your records, they were getting it out to people, all the artists had to do was sit there and sing, right? So they figured they would make more money off of the artists creating the work. So that whole concept comes into play there. Okay, so at this time, A&R scouts, or known as the hunters, okay, went through the South to find talented black people and pay them up to $25 to $50 per song. All right, so when we see this in movies where they will come up to them out of nowhere and, you know, ask them, hey, can you record us a record? You know, and the artist would do it. All right, this is a concept of them, what they would call A&Rs at that time. They would call them hunters. All right, and what they would do is they would go out and find talented black people and pay them less. Meanwhile, they would distribute the records all over the place. All right, and pay the artists in pennies, basically. Okay, so in 1930s, blues actually became popular, all right, with artists such as Lead Belly, Robert Johnson, Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, Muddy Waters, and so many more, right? But at this time, the record companies would actually take the white pop artists, okay, they would call them folk artists, okay, and have them do copycat cover songs of the blues artists, okay? And what they would do is they would sell their music over in foreign countries, okay? And this is how, you know, these record labels were making extra money on top of what they were making in the United States, okay? So they kind of like went through a third party and broke the copyright rule, all right? So this is why when people do cover songs, it's not technically illegal, okay? Because a duplication of that song would be illegal, but to do a cover of a song is not illegal. All right. Now at this time, this is where the term ghostwriter came into play as well too. We can't forget that as well. But also, music execs would pay. Okay, they would pay black artists with rented cars and jewelry. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes even purchase them a home, but they would never give them any royalties, okay, for their music at this time. All right, black artists were not making any money on their music. They were given material possessions, okay, as a form of payment. All right, and sometimes they would pay them up front, which is known today as an advance for the song. Okay, it could be anywhere between $500 to $1,000. All right, but that would be all that the artist would ever earn off of a hit record that sold 6 million copies. All right. Now, what they would do is they would take the pop artist, right, that is performing the song worldwide, okay, and they would pay them in royalties, okay, being that they're going overseas and performing the song. Okay, so when we talk about racism being in the music industry, it did exist. All right, we can't say it didn't exist. It did exist. Okay. All right, fast forward to the 80s. All right, when pop became popular, all right, the music business actually reached its highest potential when Japan created the compact disc in 1982. All right, some of y'all may remember what CDs were. Some of y'all may be too young to know how a CD worked, right? But CDs were a change of demographics. This is when the music industry reached its highest selling point ever. All right, you have artists such as Madonna, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Phil Collins, and Prince. All right, and believe it or not, record labels worked on a work for hire system before this. Okay, companies like ABC, Motown, RCA, and Polydor created a stronghold system called record contracts. All right, so before this, a lot of artists, they would go to a label, okay, and just there were no deals being signed. Okay, it was just individuals that would say, hey, you know what, I got a song, man, I got a hit record, man, let's record it. They would record the song, pay them up front if the song was good, send them on their way, and if you got another one, come back, right? That was how the record business was ran for a long time. But like I said, these labels that came into play, they brought in the stronghold system where there were a lot of talented artists that were coming through their hands and leaving, okay, without any type of benefits being there. All right, they were leaving the label. Okay, so these companies thought of an idea to say, hey, let's put these guys on a contract. We're gonna work them like slaves. All right, hence keyword slaves. Now, in the 90s, hip-hop actually became a popular genre, and it still is to today, okay? With artists such as like Run DMC, LL Cool J, all right? Jay-Z, Biggie Smalls, and Tupac, all right? These were the highest selling artists throughout the 90s, okay? You had so many more as well, but these artists were the top dogs of that time and era, all right? But now, like I was saying earlier, labels were making a lot of money off of CD sales, okay, and cassette tapes. All right, so at this time they would give the most valuable artists the highest budget. Okay, a budget is basically how much that artist is worth. So if you sign an artist like Jay-Z, 1.5 million. Okay, whereas meanwhile the underground artists, they would get the peanuts, and sometimes they wouldn't get any shares on their publishing depending on how good or smart they were. All right, so when you hear a lot of these artists, they say, oh, I never got my publishing, is because a lot of times these labels didn't believe in them, and they came to the label on some, hey, I wanted a record deal, all right, but they didn't make themselves hot. You get what I'm saying? There wasn't like a chase factor for these artists at that time. So they had to literally settle for what they could get, which was selling their publishing. All right. So in 1999, Napster, LimeWire, and Kazaa, which was a sharing software, infiltrated the music business and made things worse. All right. so bad that the record sales dropped millions and millions of dollars. Okay, dropped by millions. All right, and the RIAA was kind of confused on why this was happening, so they kind of had to put a stop to it. All right, so now you don't really see a lot of these sharing softwares around anymore, because the copyright law allows them not to share content. You're not allowed to share content or download certain content. Okay, so without proper licensing. All right, so a lot of these streaming platforms that we see today, like Apple and Spotify and SoundCloud, all of these streaming platforms basically are licensing the music. Okay, they don't have full ownership of the music; they're licensing it. All right, and when you upload your music to these distribution companies, you're basically giving them rights to your music. All right. So once they took a hard hit, okay, with the record sales in the early 2000s, the 360 deal comes into play, okay, by the creator of this, Jeff Hansen, okay, who was the owner of Silent Majority Group. Okay, now Jeff Hansen created the demographic of the 360 contract to maintain and assure that the labels, would still get their money, right? Okay, so let's take a look here and see what it says. It says 360 deals have been made by traditional record companies, as in Robbie Williams' pioneering deal with EMI in 2002. They have also been made between artists and promoters, as with Live Nation's 2007 deal with Madonna and 2008 deal with Jay-Z. Okay, so 360 deals been on since the early 2000s. All right. Now I want to break down. A lot of people ask me, "Yo, can you talk about what a 360 deal means?" I mean, it's common here. We all know the occult meaning behind this, but I want to pinpoint something as well. Let you know who these people are. Okay. So now the occult meaning of the 360 is 3 6s, right? We all know this, but let's break it down to the demographics of what this represents. So we're going to take this triangle here, right? Each point is about 60 diameters, right? So that equals out to be 180. If we make two triangles, right, and invert this other triangle, it will create what? A 6-pointed star, which will equal out to 360, all right? A lot of people would say this is Saturn worship as well. But, we can go into detail, but we're going to focus on what needs to be talked about at hand here. Now, at this current point in time, distribution is actually running the music business, okay? So, like I said, you have Spotify, Apple, Amazon, SoundCloud, all of these companies that are actually running the music business, okay? And now what they're doing is they're taking, okay, ownership or licensing your music, all right? But this still gives you full ownership of your song, all right? Which is usually what happens. The label, okay, decides to come in and tries to manipulate that artist and make them sell their masters, okay, or give up some percentage of their publishing, okay, so that they can make money as well. So a lot of these young guys, they signing these deals, all right, and not knowing that they're giving up majority of their rights to the song. Now, you're gonna have some individuals, okay, that may be hip to the business, okay, and may know about publishing and royalties and owning their masters, okay, because a lot of these younger guys are coming from the era of distribution, using DistroKid, SoundCloud, right, where they're teaching artists independency, okay. So when they sign these deals, there are clauses in these deals which we'll name now is called the key man policy, okay, which is actually a murder clause. All right, so when you sign a contract and it states that this label is a key man, okay, or you are the key man, okay, that is key word for you going to be knocked off. All right, so now what happens is the artist doesn't live up to its potentials or how much this label has given it. Okay, if this label has given you $1.7 million, okay, and you don't fulfill those obligations by paying that label back, okay, they can use alternative routes to make their money back, okay? It's called a poor investment, all right? So now when we take a look at how a lot of these labels are falling, all right, hence, if you guys didn't see this interview with Tory Lanez, he mentions this that how these people, they wanted to prevent him from moving forward.
You know what I'm saying?
And how did you not fold, right? And everybody can say, "Oh, I'm not a fold. I'm strong. I'm gonna stand 10 feet down." But that's bullshit when it comes to most things, right? And the reason I say that is because, I mean, they tried to ban you DJs from playing your records. They tried to, and who knows who they is, but they tried to make sure that your record wasn't spinning on the radio. They tried to ban you from clubs and venues and performances. So how do you not fold when all that's going into play?
I mean,
because there was a time when niggas was not fucking with Tory Lanez. They was not gonna play the records, and it was that little bit of time. But you never buckled.
I always kind of felt like the world didn't fuck with me before that. So it's like it's never affected me.
Okay, so now we all remember, like I said, Tory Lanez threatened to expose Interscope Records. All right, so these people are very smart and they know how to deal with certain things. Okay, they know how to deal with certain things. So we have to be very careful and use the independent route and always read the fine print. All right, so because like I said, nowadays record deals are very dangerous. Okay, and if you sign to the wrong artist or the wrong company, they can put a hit out on your life. All right, just a sad situation, man. A lot of people don't understand that this is not a game. Okay, when you sell your soul to the devil, it's very real. Okay, it's very real. All right, so with that being said, I hope I touched on this topic and spoke on what I need to speak on for you guys. And hope everybody stays blessed and be safe out there. Peace.